Is everyone kind of in a good spot here?
I think so, and I'll take minutes
Are
this
you
week.
willing?
Yep.
Thank you, that's really great. Okay. At 7:03, Paul, you happy?
So,
Alright, 7:03, Thursday, July 25th. Angus Gorman, Renee Cushing, Paul Olivier sitting for Sabrina, Alice Roy, Steve Darrow, and Paul Vogt is filming. And we have 2 sets of minutes to go over. Here's Jake. Good morning.
Hello.
Any opinions on these minutes?
Looks good to me.
Okay, so I think that we didn't.
This was an impromptu meeting.
The 7th.
That was that short one that we
Yep.
did at the
Yep.
town office.
And I wasn't here for this one.
Okay. All right, so I'd entertain motions from the appropriate people who happen to be here. Steve, since you were here at both, you wanna?
so moved. I move to approve both sets of minutes.
All right. Do we have a second?
Can I second too?
I can second.
Well, Alice can
Yeah.
second for the one she was at.
Yeah.
Paul can
And
second
I
for
can
the
second
one that
for
he was at.
the one that I attended.
Okay.
And do we have any? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Fine. We received a budget. Looks like we have spent $68 so far this year, 14 of which was for a handbook, 54 of which was for a Valley News posting, which we have been reimbursed for through the general fund, so
So we've really spent 14.
we've really spent $14. That's great. At the last meeting, we were visited by Renee Thiel, who is her kids are in Annie's class at Cannon Elementary, and, well, then Greta's class. And so we learned that she worked for the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Planning Commission. She came and just shared some thoughts. We got the correction about Grantham versus Grafton, if anyone figured that out. It's not the first time that's happened in all sorts of departments. We received a bill one time from the Valley News
Yes.
for a Grantham public hearing.
It's not the first time the Valley News was wrong.
Right, that's true. Anyhow, maybe something that we could attack tonight is, since we have basically a full board, we do have a full board, do we want to approach the budget committee about joining the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Planning Commission? Is that something that we would like to do? Should we try?
I say no.
Okay.
I don't see the value in it. Renee, I listened to Renee, and I like the things that she said. I don't think that we are ready to do that. There was a reason we pulled out back when we did, and I wasn't telling her anecdotally. I was there, and part of that decision to pull out.
Okay.
And I would stick with that right now.
Well, you have probably the most history and experience with this. What can you share about why?
Because a lot of the services they provide, we can get elsewhere. And I think and we can get it from government, people in the government, that right now they're like a semi-government agency, so they don't have a lot of accountability to the voters. And until we have something concrete where we know we're gonna get something in return for it, like if we're gonna do the master plan, that would be great. They can help us with that, but that's still, we're not even close to that point right now. So I would go in smaller increments and look for something. If that's the direction we want to move in, I would move in smaller steps than
Okay.
that.
Well, that opinion is valuable.
I guess,
Yeah.
do I remember that she said that we could basically buy a portion of their time to help with something like a master plan? And we didn't have to be a member, that we could buy?
She did at an increased cost. So you get a
Right, so it's a
discount.
member
If you're a
price
member, you get a discount.
and
So
not a member
that's where you might be able to get some value from that.
It did seem like the actual cost of like hiring them to help or do the master plan is much more or less.
Yes.
And so like, I don't know the right answer. Like, part of me would like to get on board with like soliciting professional help. The other part of me, and $2,000 spread out across the entire town is not a huge amount of money compared to some other departments. But it's like,
What do we get for our money?
well, I'm still stuck with this concept of like we don't have very much in terms of like there isn't much of a plan at all as far as like the plan of development. There's no structure of development. There aren't any big developments happening. This is a town that doesn't even have like a municipal water supply. Like it's pretty like basic stuff in this town, and I don't know. It seems like the theme is very much like strategizing to. I know this is like Renee's job at the commission, but like it seems like there's a lot of theme on like strategizing to provide housing to the region. And I don't know what, it just, with complete respect to people who need housing, I don't see the development happening in this town being a style of development that is conducive to simply providing housing for people. I don't see condos being built. I don't see like, it's such a like DIY ethic. And I mean, every one of us at this table has built our own house. Like, so I don't know.
Well, I'm sure we have people who are of lower income that need help in more ways than just housing. You mean like food and heat, basic things like, you know, those sorts of things.
But that's not something the Upper Valley Commission would help us with. Is
No.
it? Right.
Well, maybe, I don't know, on housing, I'm not sure.
It feels to me like maybe when we're ready to do the master plan exercise, then maybe we look into.
You know, the thing, I started my political career as a commissioner to the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission. I remember sitting in the meeting and having a member town come in lamenting that there was development going on in their town and was looking for help to stop it. So I think that's counter of what
Right, that's
I
not
want to do.
I don't know, this stuff's complicated. Everyone wants the economy to churn. No one wants people to develop in their town, so which one is it? Like, I don't really know.
Well, it's nice, I mean, I know I'm in the minority with a lot of people that I talk to about planning, but like if we planned out the growth in the town, and by that I don't mean restricted either necessarily, but
plan.
yeah,
What do we want it to look like?
I don't think that's unreasonable.
I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Alice, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think it would be really nice to have more housing for people in the area, but we don't have the infrastructure to support it at this point. We don't have city water, we don't have city sewage, we don't have any of
We
that.
don't have public transportation.
And we don't have public transportation
Please come
either.
live here, but
Yeah,
if you're low income, you're gonna have to buy a car.
there's not a lot to draw that kind of development here. That being said, if we have to pay a fee to join this group and then we have to pay fees for their services, it's kind of like double dipping. And I wonder, who are these experts in the area that could help us? Do we have a list of these people available to us?
That from the,
From the commission or other help?
Other help?
Well, what was called the Local Government Center, which is now the Municipal Association, they're kind of spread pretty thin as far as lawyers on staff go right now, but they've always been helpful as far as providing answers and support. And I mean, they do exist because it's acknowledged that we're a bunch of amateurs running, pretending to run a small town.
But so their services would be what? We would try to, put together our own master plan and then they review it and tell us what's wrong with it? Like, what is their part? Or we ask a question every time we have a question as we're going along?
I don't
I've
know.
never dealt with them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And if we keep waiting until we're ready, we're never gonna be ready.
Well, that's kind of the truth about anything, I think. Like, you just gotta start sometimes. It's like if you've got everything lined up, but I don't know if this is appropriate. Maureen, you have plenty of experience in this field, and you have vouched, I believe, for membership in the past. Am I correct? We're not looking to debate with you, but we'd love to hear what you have to say. If there's anything that you can shed light on where,
Well,
this
the
might be
thing
worth doing.
that I liked the most about them was they had a lawyer. We had access to a lawyer. And anytime I had questions or issues related to planning, I could give them a call and I got a darn good answer.
was it better than local government center, do you think? Or more,
More encompassing.
more comprehensive or whatever?
Yeah,
More engaged?
yeah. I don't know if they still offer that. Did she say that they offered that?
I don't recall.
I remember her saying that.
Okay, and we did kind of play with a master plan, and they did look at our old master plan and say there's only a couple of things in there, this is a long time ago, that needed to be changed.
I have that list of things, and
Okay.
it was a valuable,
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
that's
great.
and that was subdivision regulation review too, I think.
So that
No, that was-
a
it was-
portion of it was,
It was
yes.
Vicky Smith
Oh, yeah.
reviewing the subdivision regs and
Yeah.
basically taking similar issue to what some of us
Yes,
have taken issue
you're
with as
right,
far as the
you're right.
exemptions and the
Yeah.
lack of clarity
Yeah.
and the.
And that alone could have, down the road, saved us a lot of headache,
Yeah,
having access to that. I don't believe, was that changed?
hasn't
I
been.
don't believe it was changed.
No, we keep, so this is, a lot of why we're toying with this is because, I don't know. I'm not sure that any of us have the initiative to actually bite off the projects that we keep on thinking we're gonna be able to bite off. I mean, we all have things that keep us busy, and, I don't know, it takes free time and dedication, and the temptation to join something like this is to let somebody who's good at doing these things and has experience doing these things do them for us. The risk is that, I mean, it costs a little bit of money, it's not that much money. The risk, I think more than the money, is that we get steered in a direction that is not, that is tone deaf to, like, the small town theme that we're trying to go with.
Why do you feel that way?
Because this is geared towards a population density more along the lines of like New London, Lebanon.
Well, for certain things, yes, like highways, transportation, things like that affect them, but they're still there for the little person too.
Yeah.
But, I might like to say, talk it over a little more, and perhaps think about joining next year, not this year. Get your ducks more in a row and go with next year. And at that point in time, you know whether you wanna go that way or not.
By next year, you're talking about 2026?
No,
You're talking, so
I'm
we don't
talking
wanna join
about
this?
in March of,
Okay, so that's this upcoming
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
upcoming budget. Wait,
yeah.
to join now would be only getting a half.
Well, we don't have the money to join
You
now.
would-
We don't have it,
It
but
hasn't
so
been
the
approved.
earliest it could be would be
Yeah.
this March.
right, and it would really be a waste of money to go that route now, I think, because you wanna wrap things up at the end of the year, if you wanna put warrant articles on or
Right.
things like that. But I do wanna tell you, there's a fair amount of new people moving into town. You might not realize it, but do you know how many new people have moved into town?
No,
I don't.
there's a few.
There's a fair amount, which was surprising to me. I can't give you numbers either, but,
Well, I mean, second
you
homeowners
might
gradually
wanna-
often,
excuse me?
the second homeowners gradually often become full-time too, and there's all sorts
Yeah.
of.
But you might wanna think down the road, that's why it's called planning.
Mhm.
You might wanna think down the road, something that you might see that you need to be more knowledgeable about. Are there gonna be more kids in the school system with the people that are coming to school? Think forward, plan ahead.
Well,
So,
that's the idea for sure. Let me read this list of key member benefits with no additional cost. Just so it's out there. Master plan review,
Not right.
not recrafting. Ordinance and regulation reviews, same. Transportation related technical assistance,
What does that look like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
we might be able to get someone to get a bus out here for the elderly to get into Lebanon. I'm getting elderly, I want a bus.
I don't think it's gonna be the planning commission doing that, but, you know.
Yeah,
Okay, support at a planning board meeting. I mean,
A planning board meeting.
Support at a planning board.
I just wanted to clarify.
You're get out of,
Right. So it's a
it's your get out of jail free card, yeah.
Okay.
Public posts in our e-bulletin, social media, or on our website. 2 seats on our commission. General technical assistance, phone calls / call a planner. I don't know.
and getting your RSA books mucho cheaper. Last time I checked, which was quite a while ago, they were $90 a piece.
Yeah,
And I paid, when I got them for you guys, I think I paid 9 or 10,
we,
something like that,
we've
so.
gotten some for cheap too, and I don't recall exactly how, but I think that's what this was, it was $14. And I don't recall who, I think maybe
If
Leaf
one
got it.
one goes to the town, and when it came in for the select board,
Yeah,
Leaf gave it to you.
right. Well, I guess we limp along and I'm kind of saying this ironically, I don't have an ulterior motive, it's like maybe we will get our act together with a master plan and, in a unique way, or maybe we'll review the subdivision regs and have some public hearings about that.
So,
It just takes initiative on our part.
did you go over the subdivision regs? I thought a year or two ago you were gonna go over those, I don't know what became of that.
We
Okay.
started
Yeah.
to, and it was challenging.
At best.
Well, you know, it's hard to know what the right answer is on all that stuff because, like, my angle was extreme simplification will make it easier to read, easier to comprehend, and like maybe we don't need a complicated set of regulations for a town that does not have big developments and municipal systems and but then the idea is, what about the future? Do we want to make sure that we cover our bases at a certain point? Overdevelopment could happen at our expense if we're not prepared to plan for that. So I don't
Possibly.
know.
It's hard to say, you know, as far as development goes, I've heard developers prefer going to places where there already is regulations and zoning, because then they know what to expect, rather than to the Wild West, where you never know what's gonna happen, so that, you could look at that at a couple different angles.
I mean, I feel like with those, it's gonna have to be like, we're assigned sections to review, and then we go to the board, like, I know that's what we chatted about last year too. I
Right.
just feel like
So
going,
as far as the, a master plan goes?
no, the
the
regulations that we were
regulations.
going over, like giving each person a section, which is what we had started doing, but then it trailed off.
Maybe we ought to pick that up again.
That's-
And, you know, whether it's with the subdivision regulations or with a section of the master. You said there's only a couple sections that probably
That was
need
a long
any
time ago,
review.
there might be more now.
Well,
Right.
you know,
I think if we
I
started with
don't think so.
subdivision
I think the vision of what we want Grafton to be is not gonna be any different than it was in 1987. Not much has changed. I've read, you know, articles about people driving through Grafton, and they say, well, it's like the 1960s never left, because when they built the interstate, we were left behind. So not really much has changed, and the growth in the past few years has not been great, although you're saying there's new people in town, but people
Fair amount of
change.
new people.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of new development in town.
Right.
No, there
So
are
it's
buying homes that
People are
Yeah,
buying homes,
yeah,
or it's
yeah.
vacation, the second home people becoming permanent,
Do
that's
we
it.
have more kids in the school system?
As far as I know, we don't.
Okay, perhaps next year we will.
Perhaps, I don't know, I'd have to look at the average daily membership and go from there. But I know the school bill is pretty high. I think the one thing that would improve the community spirit in our town more than anything is an elementary school. How are you gonna make that happen? You know, how do you make that happen?
Capital improvements program.
Well, no, that won't do it
She
either.
said facetiously.
Yeah, that won't do it either, because we're part of a school district.
I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Process law
it's
to
gonna be
get out.
cold day somewhere that starts with H before Mascoma wants to build a school out here.
Yeah.
I like the idea of staying in Canaan because it lets isolated people see that this is not the only way it is. That's my opinion.
I disagree with that. I think we have a pretty good way here, and if we had a school, it would foster a spirit of community.
Do we have the
I think I'd still
population
go
to
to
support a school?
I would think so. Danbury's got a school,
Danbury does have a school.
although it's in danger of closing right now,
I was
and
gonna
they're gonna
say,
regret
that's
that.
what's my next comment, but yeah.
Okay, just a friendly reminder that people talk like about other towns' planning board meetings going until like 11 at night and stuff. Maybe, I like this little like 20-minute to hour and a half long meeting thing. Like it's
I
like,
thought that was pretty long at that, but.
it's very long, like, exactly, so like, but I'm not sure that these things are gonna get done without our own individual initiative or
Having longer meetings.
having
It's
obnoxiously
one
long
or the other,
meetings.
which is why I
You
think
ready, Paul?
some take-home work would be,
Yeah, I think if we can,
Well, if we're gonna find an area that we can focus on,
I would say,
and then
with
we
the,
can,
I would say the subdivision regulations, that's what I think we can work on without having outside help, because the,
then that's,
Master plans.
I'd say that we open that up again and see what we can find out. Maybe
Okay.
something needs to be changed, maybe something not, but at least we could put our seal of approval on
okay,
what's there, or try to make it better.
May I say something?
yeah, of course.
Back when I was on the planning board, we had a planning board meeting that took care of subdivisions and that kind of stuff. And then we had a work meeting. So we met twice a month. And the work meeting, you didn't allow the public to speak or ask questions. You're just sitting at the table like you're sitting at home at your table. And we got a lot done being able to do it that way. I know it's another day
find it
or
hard to
night
come to
out of your life, but it might make it easier on
We
you.
have so little going on with subdivision, right, subdivision, actual mergers and that sort of thing, that I think we could do it in one meeting. Although I remember those days where it wasn't, you had two meetings, one was a work meeting.
Were you on
Some
that?
select boards in town do the same thing. Go to
Oh, yeah,
Danbury,
we
they
did too.
They used to have a select board meeting that was in their office, and everybody had to stand outside and kind of try and hear what was going on. And the next meeting would be in their auditorium, where you could sit down and the board would be up at the table. So there's a different variety of ways we can do meetings. But I think going back, if we pick one thing out we want to work on and start working on it, and if we found we needed 2 meetings to do it, we could always, that's always a possibility, we could always go back to that.
I think Amelia and I, there are 2 self-employed parents in each family with small children. One night a month is about all you can ask for.
Yep.
And if you felt you needed another one, you could squeeze one in at some point in time, right?
It's hard.
Not every month, but.
The times that I have available to think and work on this stuff is not necessarily a predictable, like, it's hard enough to line up the times when everyone's available. That may not be the right time for having prepared or done our homework or whatever.
Or maybe you're not ready to take that on then.
Maybe not. It's,
But we're having the discussion tonight, which means there's no actual business, planning board business going on that.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good
so-
theme, is that the subdivision pace is like mild. So like, I think we can go with this. All right, so the word, Jake, what's up?
What year did the town leave the Upper Valley?
I believe that was '06.
Wow.
Since then, has anything come up that specifically needed or that required help from them? I wouldn't say that is the case, but as far as you're concerned that they would steer you to what larger municipalities do, I think that's the only way that would go. And that's why you have a master plan that's so long and has no real, nothing to it.
That's a really great point, is that I think that the master plan's complexity has a lot to do with it being like a one-size-fits-all kind of.
When you get professionals who get paid to do it, they're not gonna come with a 5 pages, like, this is what we came up with, think it really fits the town. They're gonna take all the time in the world and make you a few 100-page long, and that's what they're gonna bring.
But it will be at a reduced rate.
Right. Okay, so, I mean, it seems like the general sentiment is that this may be helpful at some point. if we actually get our wheels rolling and then the wheels start spinning. But we don't want to bother with this if we haven't even tried to go yet.
No, we should definitely plan out when
Yeah.
we're doing a survey, you know, that, all that stuff needs to come first, because, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's great. And then, last thing on the agenda is, an email from Sarah Hogue, the New Hampshire gravel tax appraiser. Stephen Griffin looked at Hiltz's reports, and we have a permit on file for Hiltz that was signed in 2007 and granted for 40 years. However, the plans attached only map out to 2022, making them outdated. This year's intent is good because it has already been signed, but he suggested that the planning board reach out to Mr. Hiltz to get an updated plan for next year. This is something that I really don't know how to do. I mean, one could figure out how to do it, but.
Why don't you have Sarah write a letter to them?
Well, you have in the past reminded us that she is the
Belongs to the select board.
she is the
She's not,
administrative assistant to the select board.
that's right.
Not
So
to the
would
planning
you
board.
like me to, I'll ask her.
I would be thrilled
I'll take her
If
email and I'll
you-
do the boomerang on her and I'll see where that goes.
if you're.
If I don't have a success, I'll remind you next meeting that we need to do something different.
That's why we have a select board member on planning board
Yes.
to get sneaky. All right. How'd it go?
Very well. I can give you a short report if you want.
Just like the, yeah. What is worth sharing for the moment?
Yeah,
This is for CIP.
what's that?
This is for
Yeah,
CIP.
so the capital improvement planning committee met just before this meeting. And we identified, Steve, you were here, so I might ask you to, and Maureen, to fill in too, a process. So the process that we identified is we're getting, from Sarah, we're getting contact information for the department heads. We're gonna reach out to the department heads next month. Our task for next month is to have that list of department heads. We've got a form that we're gonna review that Sarah had sent us previously for reaching out to them, saying, here's a form that you could fill out, or you could come to our meeting in person and identify the capital improvements that you envision. What else? What else do we?
And then, I missed what you said, that we're gonna identify who they are, we're gonna send out a form, we're working on the form.
Yep.
The next meeting, the form's gonna be reviewed.
Yep.
And we're gonna try and have a budget committee, the chair of the budget committee come in and engage with this committee. And the meeting after that, we're getting into September, it's gonna be like budget time in Grafton, and so that's where we wanna start to be able to talk to the budget, to the budget heads, the department heads, about what their wishes are, you know, for their capital expenditures, so we can start to develop a plan at that point.
Yep, Sarah's given us some great example plans from other neighboring towns, Bristol, Andover, Canaan. She's given us some nice resources like spreadsheets that, you know, we can use to start filling in the draft capital plan. Once we have it drafted, it comes back to the planning, it comes to the planning board for approval by the planning board, and then it gets sent to the select board. It's kind of what we identified as the process.
So that's basically where it's just getting going, it's beyond the organizational meeting, now that they're getting down to the real work that's going on, and by September, it'll be down to the nitty gritty then.
Yep.
We'll really be putting something together, so there's some progress being made, and it looks like there's gonna be a lot of progress in the upcoming months.
Well, it's exciting. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
It's nice to see things move along and get done.
I think it's a good exercise
Yeah.
for a town to do.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the town be able to have some capital planning where we start moving, and this is going a little bit further down the road, instead of having all these silos of money, to try to get it so there's one big silo of money, and then we have the capital expenditures as we need them, as we afford them.
As you expected to spend.
As we expect them. I know anything can happen, I mean, plans change, but like,
I mean, you keep planning.
we're not looking for all this new stuff all at one time, so that's the idea, and that spreads out the tax burden too.
And it's cheaper to not do damage control.
Right.
Yeah, it's always cheaper to do it right the first time.
I was surprised to learn from you, Steve, tonight that, I don't remember if you said people have left or people are talking about leaving because of the age and condition of our equipment, like road equipment.
That's a problem that we have with the road department. We've had a couple of good candidates come down there. Sure, go down to the town sheds down there, go look at the stuff. And we hear from them a couple days later saying, I think I'll stay where I am.
Yeah.
It's because it's old, you know, and it's a tough job, you know, especially plowing snow in the winter. You're all by yourself in this big beast of a hunk of iron.
That hopefully is gonna make it back to the
Hopefully
sheds.
we'll make it back to the shed, and if it doesn't, you're gonna be hearing about it. It's just, it can be pretty stressful.
Well, everyone's an expert too. Any mistake that's made, it's,
People are,
everyone could have done a better job.
the people are quick to point that out, yes. So, in my opinion, I like to let the road department do the job as best they can and give them the latitude to do that, rather than, you know, stay on top of them, and
Micromanaging is devastating sometimes.
it can be.
I'm not for it.
Um,
No, just that's like-
well, so anyways, positive vibes.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, that was a-
yes,
that was a
I think we have a good committee. People had a very nice attitude about it. So I think we're off in a good direction.
May I ask who else is on the committee?
Yes, Alice is there, but I sent the agenda to the wrong address apparently. Heather Hunter
Too many hours.
is the secretary. What's that?
Had too many hours.
No, I had too many R's in the address. Jean Mitchell,
Okay.
Sabrina, Leaf. Yeah, that's it. But the suggestion was made to get a budget committee person,
I'd like to see a budget committee.
which I think would be smart.
I mean, that makes sense.
There was,
It does make sense,
right, at our first meeting, there was a question from the budget committee person
absolutely.
about how we were interacting.
And I don't have the RSA with me, but that's what the RSA, when we first started talking
yes,
about it,
yes,
said you could have
yes.
basically, I'm paraphrasing now, numerous planning board members on that,
Mhm.
and somebody from the budget committee.
That makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
Well, are you in a position to, or would either of you like to try to field somebody from the budget committee?
Well, you know, that's an issue that I have, we are a town of volunteers, so we have to have somebody step up.
Well,
You can't make them.
no, you can't make them,
No,
but you
but
can
you can
ask
ask
if,
them.
you can ask them if they'd like to participate.
Well, I believe they have been, but I guess we need to do a second pass at the budget committee.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, Paul,
Yeah, we
you're
did-
welcome to approach anyone.
We did have somebody on, but they resigned before the first meeting.
Oh.
So we'll try again.
Okay. Right on. Well, anything else? Right on. Public comment? What's up?
Supervisors of the checklist are looking for a qualified candidate to fill an empty seat. There's only 2 seats filled currently, so there's that.
Thanks. Any other ex officio report kind of stuff?
No, I don't think so right now. I don't think none that comes to mind.
All right, well, thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.